My dad promised me 51% of the company if I saved it from bankruptcy. I did. But yesterday I found the trust documents. The business has legally belonged to my unemployed brother since 2014. I was just the workhorse building his nest egg. They thought they trapped me, but they forgot I control the domains in the client list. With one push of a button I could erase $62 million. I didn't scream when I found the papers. I didn't cry. I was standing in the archive room. The dusty one in the back of the warehouse. The air smelled like cardboard and old toner. I was looking for a tax document from 2016. A routine audit thing. And there was. A thick, cream-colored folder. The Robert and Tyler Miller Irrevocable Trust. My name wasn't on the cover. I opened it. My hands weren't shaking yet. I was just confused. Maybe it was a mistake. I flipped to the assets page. There was. Miller Hardware and Supply. Miller E-Commerce Group. MHS Logistics. All of it. 100% of the equity. Transferred into the trust on October 14, 2014. The beneficiary? Tyler Miller. My brother. The brother who has never, not once, packed a box. The brother who calls me at 11 a.m. on Tuesdays to ask how to reset his Netflix password. I looked at the date again. October 14, 2014. That was 3 weeks before I quit my job at the ad agency. 3 weeks before Dad sat at my kitchen table, weeping into a mug of tea, begging me to come help him save the store. He had already signed it away. Before I wrote a single line of code. Before I built the Shopify site. Before I negotiated the dropshipping contracts that turned a dusty hardware store in Ohio into a national distributor. He knew. For 10 years he looked me in the eye and lied. I took a picture of the document. Then I put the folder back. Exactly where I found it. I walked out of the archive room. I walked past the customer service bullpen where 20 people I hired, were answering calls. I walked into my office. I sat down. And I looked at the calendar. Tomorrow was my 30th birthday. The day we were supposed to sign the partnership agreement. The day I was supposed to get my 51%. I swiveled my chair and looked out the window at the parking lot. I saw Tyler's car. A brand new Land Rover. Leased by the company. He was sitting in the driver's seat. Watching TikToks on his phone. He'd been working here for 6 years as the VP of Strategy. I felt something click in my chest. Like a breaker flipping. I wasn't sad anymore. I was cold. Freezing cold. The next night was the birthday dinner. Steakhouse. The one with the white tablecloths and the waiters who scraped the crumbs off the table with a little metal blade. Dad sat at the head of the table. Mom was to his right. Tyler was across from me, already 3 whiskeys deep. To Jessica, Dad said, raising his glass. The girl who makes it all happen. I smiled. It hurt my face. Thanks, Dad. I waited. This was the moment. We had talked about it for years. Asterisk when you turn 30, Jess. When the company hits 50 million, Jess. That's when we make it official. Asterisk. We hit 50 million 2 years ago. Dad reached under the table. He pulled out a box. It was small. Velvet. Jewelry-sized. Not a document folder. My stomach dropped. It physically dropped. Open it, Mom beamed. Your father picked it out himself. I opened it. A watch. A Cartier tank. Beautiful. Expensive. About $5,000. It's engraved, Dad said. Look at the back. I turned it over. Team player. That's what it said. Not partner. Not owner. Not CEO. Team player. We're so proud of you, Dad said. And we have more news. He looked at Tyler. Tyler grinned. A sloppy, whiskey-soaked grin. Tyler is going to be stepping up, Dad said. We're promoting him to co-CEO. Effective Monday. The room went silent. The only sound was the clinking of silverware from the table next to us. Co-CEO, I repeated. My voice sounded flat. Robotic. He's ready, Dad said. He's got the vision, Jess. You're great at the nuts and bolts. The execution. But Tyler? He's big picture. Tyler burped. We're gonna get into crypto, he said. Hardware on the blockchain, Jess. Huge. I looked at my dad. What about the agreement? I asked. The 51%? Dad's face changed. The warm, fatherly mask slipped. Just for a second. Now, Jess, he said, his voice dropping an octave. Let's not talk business at dinner. It's a celebration. You promised, I said. You said when I turned 30. I said we'd discuss the future, he corrected. And this is the future. It's a family business. It all goes into the same pot eventually. Is that why the business is in a trust? I asked. Dad froze. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Tyler looked confused. What trust? The trust you signed in 2014, I said. The one that names Tyler the sole beneficiary. Dad put his fork down. Clatter. Where did you see that? Does it matter? I took a sip of water. You promised me ownership of a company you didn't even own anymore. You've been lying to me for a decade. It's for tax purposes / Dad snapped. People were looking now. You don't understand estate planning, Jessica. This protects the family. It protects Tyler, I said. What about me? You'll always have a job, Mom chimed in. She looked terrified. Jess, honey, you're on a great salary. You have the company car. Why are you ruining dinner? I'm an employee, I said. That's what I am. I built a $62 million empire and I'm just an employee. You're being dramatic, Dad said. He wiped his mouth with the napkin. Dismissive. We'll talk about a bonus structure on Monday. Now eat your steak. I looked at the steak. I looked at the watch. Team player. I looked at Tyler, who was texting under the table. I'm not hungry, I said. I stood up. Sit down, Jessica, Dad said. It was an order. The voice he used when I was 12. No. If you walk out that door, he hissed, leaning in, don't expect that bonus. I looked him dead in the eye. Keep the bonus, I said. And keep the watch. I dropped the Cartier on the table. It made a heavy thud. I walked out. I didn't cry in the car either. I drove straight to my apartment. I sat in the dark. And I started to plan. The next morning I called a lawyer. Not the company lawyer. My own. I spent $500 for an hour of consultation with a woman named Sarah. She was sharp. Scary sharp. I showed her the picture of the trust document. I told her about the verbal contracts. The emails where Dad alluded to our partnership. Sarah listened. She took notes. Then she took off her glasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. Jessica, she said. I'm going to be honest with you. Tell me, I said. Verbal contracts involving real estate or transfer of business ownership are almost impossible to enforce. Especially in this state. And especially against an irrevocable trust established 10 years ago. So I have nothing, I said. You have a claim for promissory estoppel, she said. Maybe. We could sue for the value of your labor. But it would take years. It would cost you 6 figures in legal fees. And the trust has the resources to bury you. I felt the air leave the room. They have the money, she said gently. They have the institutional power. You're an at-will employee. I nodded. I felt small. Stupid. I had spent my 20s working 18-hour days. I had missed weddings. I had no boyfriend. I lived in a mediocre apartment because I poured every spare cent back into the business. Buying equity with sweat, Dad called it. I was buying Tyler a yacht. However, Sarah said. She put her glasses back on. However, you mentioned you built the tech stack? From scratch, I said. And the vendor relationships? I signed them. And the domains? I bought them. Sarah smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was a shark smile. Who owns the GoDaddy account, Jessica? I paused. I thought back to 2014. Dad didn't know how to use the internet. He didn't have a credit card that worked online half the time. I do, I said. It's on my personal Amex. I expensed it for years, but the account is in my name. And the hosting? Me. And the administrative access to the client database? Me. Only me. Dad doesn't even know his login. Sarah leaned back. They didn't just trap you, Jessica, she said. They trapped themselves. They built a castle on land they don't own. He handed me a card. Don't quit, she said. Go back to work. Be the model employee. Get everything in order. Make sure you can prove ownership of those digital assets. And wait for them to make a mistake. They will, I said. Tyler is co-CEO now. Perfect, she said. I walked out of her office. The sun was shining. I felt different. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the landlord. and I was about to serve an eviction notice. But first I had to understand how I let this happen. I need to explain the history. You need to understand the level of manipulation I was dealing with. It started in 2014. I was 24. I was working at a boutique agency in Chicago. I was happy. Then the call came. Dad was sobbing. They're going to take the house, Jess. The bank is calling in the loan. I drove home that weekend. The store was a disaster. Inventory was a mess. The books were written in pencil in a spiral notebook. Dad looked 20 years older. I failed, he kept saying. I failed you kids. He didn't mention Tyler. Tyler was in Cancun for spring break. He was 22, failing out of college for the second time. Dad paid for the trip. Boy needs to blow off steam, he said. I looked at the numbers. The hardware store was dead. But the inventory was valuable. Specialized plumbing parts. Weird vintage fixtures. Stuff you couldn't find at Home Depot. We need to go online, I told him. I don't know computers, he said. That's your thing, Jess. Help me. Please. If you save this, it's yours. Half of it. I swear. We'll be partners. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my dad. So I quit my job. I moved back into my childhood bedroom. I worked from the dining room table. I built the first site on Magento. I took photos of 4,000 products against a white sheet I taped to the garage wall. I answered customer service emails at 2 a.m. The first month we made $4,000. The sixth month we made $40,000. The second year we did $2.1 million. I didn't take a salary for 2 years. I lived on savings. Reinvest it, I told Dad. We need to grow. And we did. We grew into a monster. And the whole time while I was coding and packing and negotiating, Dad was quietly signing papers with a lawyer, locking it all away for the golden boy. Thinking about it made me nauseous. But the nausea was good. Kept me sharp. Monday morning. The office. I walked in at 8 a.m. sharp. Tyler was already there. He was in my office. Not his office. He was sitting in my ergonomic chair spinning around. He had moved my plants. He had put a framed photo of himself and his frat buddies on my desk. Hey sis, he said. He didn't get up. Tyler, I said. You're in my chair. Co-CEO chair, he corrected. Dad and I talked. We think it's better if I take the corner office. Perception, you know. Since I'm leading strategy. Strategy, I repeated. Yeah. Crypto babe. I'm telling you. I looked at him. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my car. He looked like a child playing dress-up. I took a breath. This was the test. The gray rock method. Be boring. Be compliant. Don't react. Hey, I said. Tyler blinked. Okay. Sure. You take this office. It has better light anyway. I'll move to the cubicle down the hall near the server room. Tyler looked disappointed. He wanted a fight. He wanted me to scream so he could call me emotional. Oh, he said. Well, good. Glad you're being logical. I'm a team player, I said, tapping my wrist where the watch would be. I wasn't wearing it. I spent the next 3 weeks being the best employee in the world. I moved my stuff to the cubicle. I answered Tyler's insane emails. Asterisk. Jess, can we sell NFTs of hammers? I'll look into it, Tyler. I sat in meetings where Dad praised Tyler for ideas I had implemented 3 years ago. Tyler suggests we optimize our shipping zones, Dad would say. I had set up the zone skipping logistics in 2019. Great idea, Tyler, I'd say. But while I was nodding and smiling, I was working. I wasn't doing my normal work. I was doing an audit. A forensic audit of my own digital footprint. I logged into the domain registrar. Registrant, Jessica Miller. Admin email, jessica.miller.personal@gmail.com. I logged into the Klaviyo account, our email list of 400,000 high-value contractors. Owner, Jessica Miller. I checked the AWS hosting instances. Billing method, Jessica's Amex. They had never updated the billing. They were reimbursing me every month, but the account was mine. Legally, they were renting my house. And the lease was month to month. I created a spreadsheet. The leverage list asterisk. 1. Main domain millersupply.com owned by me. 2. Customer database asterisk exported and saved on an encrypted drive. 3. Vendor contracts asterisk 60% were in my name personally because suppliers trusted me, not Dad. For Google Workspace asterisk I was the only super admin. Dad had lost his password in 2018 and never reset it. I was ready. But I needed them to push me. I needed the moral high ground. I needed them to get greedy. It happened on a Tuesday in November. 3 weeks before Black Friday. Black Friday is 40% of our annual revenue. 4. I was in my cubicle optimizing the ad spend for the holiday push. Dad and Tyler walked up. They had a woman with them. She looked like an HR consultant. Jessica, Dad said. He wouldn't look me in the eye. Can we talk? Sure. This is Brenda, he said. She's our new chief marketing officer. I looked at Brenda. She looked nice enough. Hi, I said. Nice to meet you. Brenda comes from a very prestigious agency, Tyler bragged. Great, I said. So where do I fit in? Well, Dad said. He cleared his throat. That's the thing. Brenda's going to need a full salary. And with Tyler's new comp package, the budget is tight. I knew what was coming. We need you to take a pay cut, Dad said. 20%. And, Tyler added, smirking, we need you to sign over the admin rights to the accounts. Brenda needs full access. Today. It's standard procedure, Dad said quickly. Security compliance. Security compliance. They were trying to close the loophole. Someone had finally looked at the books and realized I held the keys. If I don't? I asked. Jessica, please, Dad said. Don't make this ugly. If you don't accept the new structure, we'll have to accept your resignation. They were firing me. Constructive dismissal. Force me out, take the keys, keep the money. I looked at Dad. The man whose house I saved. I looked at Tyler. The boy whose inheritance I built. Hey, I said. Dad let out a breath. Okay. I'll transfer the credentials, I said. I just need to clean up some files first. Organize the folders for Brenda. I can have it done by Friday. Friday is good, Brenda said. I can start Monday. Perfect, Tyler said. See? Team player. Just one thing, I said. I want it in writing. The severance terms. If I'm resigning, I want a clean break. Done, Dad said. He looked relieved. He thought he had won. I turned back to my computer. I'll get to work, I said. They walked away. I didn't organize files. I opened a terminal window. Friday came. The office was buzzing. Black Friday prep. The warehouse was stocked with $12 million in inventory. Dad and Tyler were in the conference room with the investors. They were looking to sell. That was the secret plan. Sell the company for $60 million, cash out and retire. I knew because I read their emails. I walked into the conference room at 2 p.m. Jessica, Dad said, smiling for the investors. Do you have the keys for Brenda? I placed a single piece of paper on the table. Actually, I said. I have a resignation letter. We know, Tyler said. Just give us the passwords. I can't do that, I said. Why not? Because, I said, looking at the lead investor, a guy named Marcus. I can't give you access to assets you don't own. The room went quiet. Excuse me? Marcus asked. The website, I said. The domain name. The hosting account. The email list. They don't belong to Miller Supply Incorporated. Of course they do, Dad laughed nervously. She's joking. I'm not, I said. I pulled out my phone. As of 2 minutes ago, I said, I have updated the DNS records for millersupply.com. What does that mean? Tyler asked. It means, I said, that the website no longer points to your servers. It points to a splash page. What splash page? Dad stood up. Check your phones, I said. Marcus pulled out his phone. He typed in the URL. His eyes went wide. It says, under maintenance due to ownership dispute? Dad turned purple. Fix it. Fix it right now /. I can't, I said. I resigned. Remember. I will sue you /. Tyler screamed. I'll sue you for everything you have /. You can try, I said. But here's the thing. I own the domain. My name. My credit card. I own the hosting. My name. My credit card. And the client list? That's data collected under my personal privacy policy, which I implemented in 2015. I looked at the investors. You're buying a warehouse full of hammers, I told them. But you don't have a store. You don't have customers. And you don't have a way to sell them. This is blackmail /. Dad shouted. He was shaking. No, I said. This is business. You taught me that, Dad. It's all family money, right? I turned to leave. Wait /. Dad yelled. Just wait. We can fix this. We can talk. 51%, I said. Yes /. It's fine. We'll rewrite the trust. No, I said. I don't want 51% of your company. I paused at the door. I want you to buy my assets. The domain. The list. The brand. How much? Marcus asked. He looked interested. He realized who the actual smart person in the room was. 15 million, I said. You're insane /. Tyler shrieked. The Black Friday sale starts in 48 hours, I said. You're projected to make 4 million this week alone. If the site stays down, you lose that. And the customers go to Amazon. And the brand dies. I checked my cheap Casio watch. Tick-tock, I said. I walked out. I went to my car. I sat there for an hour. My phone blew up. Calls from Dad. Texts from Mom. How could you do this to your brother? Threats from Tyler. Then a call from a number I didn't know. It was Marcus, the investor. Jessica, he said. Are you free for coffee? I'm busy, I said. I'm not calling on behalf of your father, he said. I'm calling for myself. Go on. I'm pulling my offer from Miller Supply, he said. Without the IP, it's a bad buy. Your father is incompetent. And your brother is a liability. Tell me something I don't know. I want to fund you, he said. I sat up straighter. What? You built the machine, Marcus said. You know the suppliers. You know the customers. You have the data. Why do you need the hardware store? Let them keep the physical stock. It's a liability anyway. What are you proposing? Start a new company. Digital first. I'll put up the seed capital. You redirect the domain to the new site. We email the list. We offer the same products, drop-shipped directly from the manufacturers you have relationships with. I smiled. A real smile. And my dad. He has a warehouse full of depreciating copper pipe and no way to sell it. It's been 6 months. We launched JM Supply 3 days after that meeting. Because I controlled the domain, I simply redirected the traffic. Imagine this. You type in millersupply.com to buy your bulk fittings. The browser redirects you to https://www.google.com/search?q=jmsupply.com. A banner says, Miller Supply is now JM Supply. Same team, new name. 20% off your first order. It wasn't even hostile. It just looked like a rebrand. We did $3.2 million on Black Friday. Dad and Tyler tried to get an injunction. They went to court. The judge was a tired man named Judge Holloway. Dad's high-priced lawyer argued that I had stolen company property. My lawyer, Sarah, simply projected the receipts onto the wall. Receipt 1 GoDaddy invoice 2014. Paid by Jessica Miller. Receipt 2 hosting agreement. Signed by Jessica Miller. Receipt 3 the trust document showing Jessica Miller had 0% ownership in the entity claiming to own the website. Your Honor, Sarah said. The plaintiff is arguing that my client stole a website. But the evidence shows she built it, paid for it, and hosted it herself. The plaintiff essentially wants to squat on her digital property. Judge Holloway looked at Dad. Mr. Miller, he asked. Did you ever reimburse Ms. Miller for the domain purchase? It was expensed /. Dad argued. We have the expense reports here, Sarah said. She was reimbursed for hosting fees. Not the purchase of the asset itself. It's like reimbursing a driver for gas. It doesn't mean you own their car. The judge dismissed the injunction. It seems to me, the judge said, that you gentlemen should have read the terms of service. The gavel bang sounded like a gunshot. The fallout was fast. Without the website, Miller Hardware was just a dusty warehouse in an industrial park. Their revenue dropped 95% overnight. They couldn't move the inventory. They missed payments to vendors. The vendors, who I had known for years, called me. Jess, what's going on with your dad? Checks are bouncing. I'm on my own now, I told them. But I can move that product for you if you want to open a direct account with me. They all did. By February, Miller Hardware filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The real kind this time. I didn't buy them out. I didn't want the baggage. I heard the bank foreclosed on the warehouse last week. And Tyler? I saw him recently. I was at a coffee shop downtown. He was working. Not as a VP. Not as a crypto strategist. He was wearing a green apron. He was taking orders. He saw me. He froze. He looked at my suit. He looked at the calm, happy expression on my face. I walked up to the counter. Grande oat milk latte, I said. Jess, he whispered. You ruined us. No, Tyler, I said. I tapped my card to pay. I just stopped helping you pretend you were competent. I took my coffee. Keep the change, I said. I walked outside. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Asterisk, Jess, please. We're losing the house. Just call me. Asterisk. I looked at the message. I thought about the trust document. I thought about the team player watch. I thought about the 10 years of my life they stole. I blocked the number. I got into my car, a Porsche bought with my own equity in my own name. I drove to my new office. The sign out front said JM Supply. The parking lot was full. The phones were ringing. It was mine. All of it. And the best part? I didn't need a promise. I didn't need an inheritance. I just needed to know my own worth. And the password. Especially the password.